This lesson is on solving one-step equations. So the steps to solve, first thing is to locate the variable. 2, determine the operation tied to the variable. 3, use inverse operations on both sides of the equal sign to solve. And 4, check your solution. So let's talk about inverse operations. Those are what you use to solve equations. So we have addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. All right, we're going to solve each equation and check all solutions. So the set 1 is only addition and subtraction. Go. Okay, so here's my variable. I want my variable all by itself. So that means I need to move this constant to the other side. So to do that, I'm going to use the inverse operation. So instead of add 7, I'm going to subtract 7. If I subtract 7 on this side of the equal sign, I also have to subtract 7 on the other side of the equal sign. So we can draw a line to show the two different sides. Okay, so that cancels out, and I end up with x equals, and when I put -1 and -7 together, I get -8. Okay, now the next step is to check our answer. So to check, we are going to substitute -8 for x in the equation. So instead of x plus 7, I'm going to put -8 plus 7. -8 plus 7 is -1, so it is correct. All right, number 2. Okay, let's divide our equation into the two parts. Okay, I need m by itself, so I need to move -11. So I'm going to add 11 to both sides. That cancels it out, and I'm left with m equals 2. Okay, last step is to check it. So I'm going to substitute 2 for m. So 2 minus 11 is -9. It checks. Number 3. H is is on this side of the equation, so I need to move this 14 to this side. So I'm going to use the inverse, which is -14, or subtract 14. Okay, so 9 minus 14 is -5. This cancels out, and I have h. So -5 equals h, or you can flip-flop it and say that h equals -5. Okay, I'm going to substitute -5 for h. Let's rewrite our equation using -5 for h. And see, this is true. 14 minus 5 is 9, so it checks. Okay, number 4. Again, I have my two sides of my equation. I want w all by itself. That's what I'm solving for. So I need to get rid of this. So I'm going to add 15 to both sides. Cancels. I have w equals 29. All right, let's check it. So this is -15 plus 29 equals 14, and that is true. Number 5. K is here, so I need to get rid of 8, -8. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. -21 plus 8 is -13. Okay, and this has gone away. So now I'm going to substitute, rewrite my equation. Instead of k, I'm going to put that -13. Negative 13 minus 8 is negative 21. Number 6, I need v by itself. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So that would leave me with 3 equals v. Let's see if it worked. Negative 1 equals negative 4 plus 3. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Okay, now we're going to move to step 2, which is multiplication and division. So instead of to multiply, we're going to use the inverse divide, or if it's division, we're going to use the inverse and multiply. So when I look here, I need a by itself. So that means I need to get rid of this 4. And this implies multiplication. And the inverse is division. So I'm going to divide this by 4 to get rid of it, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, which would leave me with a. If I divide this side by 4, I also have to divide that side by 4. So I'm left with a equals negative 6. All right, so we're going to substitute and see if that works. So we had 4 times a. Now we say a is negative 6. Okay, so let's see. This is negative 24, so it is correct. Number 8. Again, this is showing multiplication, so I'm going to use the inverse division. Now notice this is the same exact integer, the same exact number. When you're multiplying or divide, you're dealing with the same exact thing. It's the multiplication and division that undo it. Here it's the adding and the subtracting. Okay. So I'm going to divide this side by 7. So I have to divide this side by 7. So this gives me 8 equals, that cancels. So 8 equals p. Let's substitute. Negative 56 equals negative 7 times 8. This is negative 56, so it is correct. All right, let's turn to page 2. Number 9. Okay, this is showing division, and I want n by itself. So to get rid or undo that divide by 5, I'm going to multiply by 5. And if I multiply this side by 5, I need to multiply this side by 5. Equality property says what I do on one side, I have to do on the other. So I'm left with n equals 45. Okay, so we can still check by substituting. So I'm going to put 45 for n, divided by 5 equals 9. Let's see, and that is true. Number 10. I have r divided by negative 8. Again, I want r by itself. So instead of divide by negative 8, I'm going to multiply by negative 8. If I multiply this by negative 8, I need to multiply this side. So I'm left with negative 16 equals r. Okay, let's substitute. So I'm going to put 2 equals, instead of r, negative 16 divided by negative 8. All right, so this does equal 2. Okay, number 11. This is not quite solved. This needs to be just k, not negative k. So in this case, I need to get rid of that negative. So I'm going to, instead of, you can think of this as a negative 1. So instead of it multiplying by a negative 1, I'm going to divide it by negative 1. I'll do that here. I have to do it here. So that cancels, and I am left with k equals negative 7. All right, let's substitute and see. So this was a negative k. So it was a negative, and instead of k, I'm putting -7 equals 7. All right, well, negative times a negative makes a positive. So it does check. Number 12. Okay, I have -6 and it's divide. So I'm going to multiply times -6. If I do that on one side, I have to do it on the other. So that cancels, and x equals 72. Time to check. 72 divided by -6 does in fact equal -12. Okay, set 3, mixed practice. So it says solve each equation and check all solutions. So remember, you're going to use the inverse operation. So it's important to take a close look at the sign and figure what the inverse is. I want you to do numbers 13 through 24 and check them. Check all solutions like we did in the previous examples. So pause this. I want you to do numbers 13 through 24. When you're finished, then I want you to start the video again and check your answers. Pause it now, please. Okay, so you have now had the time to answer questions 13 through 24. So you're going to check your answers to this key and see if you're on the right track. So 13, x is 8. 14, d is -4. 15, a is -13. 16, 27 equals h. 17, 12 equals m. 18, -9 equals y. Number 19, w equals 37. Number 20, p equals -81. Number 21, 3 equals a. 22, k equals -29. Number 23, 80 equals v. And 24, n equals 0. If you need any help, then you need to come and see Mr. Watson or me